Hello everyone at Enchanted Emerald. This is Melissa bringing you a reading here today for Thursday, July 27th, 2023. And out of the Astrology Answers deck today, we actually have the Emperor coming out today with the Four of Swords. So this is a different combination than we've seen in quite a while, actually. And I really feel called to mention too that at the bottom of the deck we have the Ace of Pentacles. So divine intervention is at hand. It is at work. So I do feel, however, though, you could be in a space where you're feeling as though you are going nowhere fast. And I feel like externally there's a lot of variables at work, okay? And you are what you would be compared to like the control of the experiment, right? Where you aren't really changing. Things aren't really changing for you at this time, right? Where you really are hoping that things are going to change for you soon. But inevitably, you're kind of resisting that change, right? You have this temptation to leave a situation, leave a relationship, leave these circumstances, be it in a job. You really want to start over, right? But you're kind of concerned here that this could decimate your savings. There's a lot of other things that are kind of at work here that you're kind of concerned about. And so you just are kind of like leaving everything, you know, at work here to kind of work itself out. So you're really not making any of those changes right now. But the message here is that change is inevitable, right? And so I really feel like as a result of all of these variables that bring a lot of concern with that change, you're kind of pumping the brakes on things, taking a time out when you look at that Four of Swords. Now, what's interesting here is that both of those cards are represented by the number 4. 4 in tarot is seeking that stability, really looking for that and searching for that. Or maybe it's time to take control of a situation, right? So really feel as though you could be in a space where you're kind of second guessing yourself. Like, is this so bad here, right? I feel like this is inevitably a temporary hold where you're going to come to a point where you're going to feel like, gosh, it's time for me to decide. Like, this is now or never. I feel like you've never been in this space before. Like, you've never been so undecided in your life. Usually with that Emperor energy, kind of like what you say goes, right? I feel like you make decisions and you flow with it and you go really fast. But inevitably here too, by default, this is like the way it was designed. Like, this was a way that you planned your life out so that you could take this time right now to really rationalize things, really make sure that you're making the right decision for yourself so that you do end up in a space where you are feeling that stability, or you are moving to a space of more stability, because you don't want to move into a certain direction and then have this disaster ensue as a result of that. So it is time to kind of take a break, go within and really get in touch with your intuition and make the best decision for yourself. And I feel like there's a potential here for you still overall, even though you are kind of withdrawing from all of those choices and really trying to get clarity. I really do feel like there's a potential here for you to feel as though you are drowning in overwhelm, right? With all of your expectations, your desires, things not looking externally how you want them to look. But I do feel like there's a need for you to be very discerning right now to get to the truth, right? Like, there is truth within the lies, okay? Our mind could tend to exaggerate details, and that happens out of fear, right? So there's a need for you to kind of question what's coming in as you're processing your external circumstances and gaining perspective on that, to really ask yourself, is this true? Is this assumption true? I formulated this opinion about that, but is that true? And then start looking for details to support that as a truth, right? And so it's about like looking at the big picture and then captioning that, right? So like, you know how you're like looking at that and then like dropping into your heart center and really getting into this honest, sincere, heartfelt emotion with that. Like, what does this big picture mean to you? What does this circumstance mean to you, above and beyond what you're seeing in a day-to-day circumstance, right? And so, you know, I feel like you might even feel as though, gosh, I feel like the universe is making an example out of me with this, right? You could feel as though the worst case scenario is playing out for you right now, right? You could feel like it's already happening, and this is a time for you to really use your judgment, okay? You know, be wise here, okay? So this is a tendency here for you to be very candid. This is a time for you to be open and honest with others, but also with yourself, right? The Emperor kind of comes in as this boss, and that's where I say that, like, what you say goes. And so there's a need not only to acknowledge what's going right about the situation, but there's a need to understand that you acknowledge that within another person, whether you're extending that compliment, you see how you complement one another within that, right? So you are learning a lot from one another, and I think externally, how you present on appearance to other people is you look like a very strong unit. You're a unified unit as you present to the world, right? As a couple. And so, you know, I feel like this is really a big decision for you. I do get this sense here that you could be feeling as though you're swept off of your feet with emotion. Now, I feel this emotion ultimately can be good or bad. I can see it going both ways. This emotion could be heartbreak, or this emotion could be I am overwhelmed with joy. And so this here is a time to kind of look at both parties and realize that to make things work, one party or another can't hold all of the power and authority, right? There has to be some level of submission from both parties in order for this to work, right? And so to thrive as a couple, and to really bring the most that you can bring to the table in order to complement one another in the best way possible to really thrive as a couple, you have to be able to thrive individually and then come together and bring that piece together to be able to offer to the other person what they may lack. And so this is about allowing enough space for one person to be themselves completely. And so I do feel like one party could be stepping away from the relationship for a little while, and then coming back to it with a sense of renewed hope, and maybe the other party saying, you know what, I'm going to give a little, and I want to make this work. I want that stability, and I want it with you. I want to build with you, right? So there's that compromise where I see things could be working. Or that Emperor could say, you know what, I'm in my head, I'm very rational about things, and this is my way or the highway. And they could say, I'm done. I really, you know, I don't want to do this way. This is not how I envisioned my relationship going. And so they could say, I don't want to do this anymore. So I could see this going both ways. But ultimately, to seek that stability, we really must be able to move from our logic and really drop it down into our heart space and lead with that emotion. So pay attention to how you're feeling. Pay attention to what you're envisioning for yourself. Pay attention to how you feel around other people or within that relationship. Because I do feel like that other party, that other person really could rise to the occasion if you're given that space, right? If you are giving that person that space to meet you where you're at. And so I think that this is ultimately like a continual pursuit of one another, a continual dating relationship, a continual trying to impress and be there for one another in a beautiful way, and it creates this beautiful dynamic so that you're forever dating that person and not getting complacent and not getting comfortable. So beautiful read here that we have for us for this Thursday. I do so hope that this resonates for you on some level, and if you've watched thus far, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I will be back with another read for you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Take care.